Good morning. We'd like to welcome everyone gathered here today for remembrance of our local and national heroes who passed away while serving our country during wartime. To the right of me, you have a plaque over here which has the Korean people that died in Korea and some that died in Vietnam. To the left, we also have in the Vietnam veteran the listing again of those died in Vietnam. Most places you go to and you see these memorials, they'll have stars. If you're in another town, your star usually indicates that somebody that was served their war and died in their country and didn't return. And that's why we're here today. I'd like to open up. We're going to have Rick Clark from Post 81, the American Legion chaplain, have some opening prayer.
In the military, it's our custom to remove our head covers during prayers. So if you would, join me in removing your head cover. Almighty God, in your hands are the living and the dead. We give you thanks from all gathered here today to the citizens who have laid down their lives in service to our country, the United States of America. May they rest in peace, and may light perpetual shine upon them forever. May the good work of seeking justice for all those oppressed and peace for mankind be rewarded with success from those serving us today. As we gather today with our friends, with our family, with neighbors, and citizens of the world, may we ensure that the sacrifice of those who went before us has not been in vain. And let us not forget those men and women serving for us today in our community and across the world. Be safe. May we're never forced to remain in the awesome cost of freedom we enjoy in our communications with life. By those who have so valiantly served us. All this we ask of you in honor of all of them. In your name, amen. Cover. So Rick, before you step out, I'd like to give you a gift here of our local Coast Guard veterans. Makes a little bit of patriotic art for anybody that speaks at our event. Oh, wonderful. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Here it is. Oh, yeah. At this time, we'll have the rendition of the national anthem by the Greenfield Band. At this time, I'd like everybody to join me with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mrs. Roxanne Wiedengartner. She will have a little short statement and a reading from the proclamation from the governor of Massachusetts for this Memorial Day.
Good morning, everyone. I always look forward to this day. I very much do. It's a day of reflection and remembrance, and it is 100% okay to gather with your friends and loved ones on a day like today, especially this beautiful day, to reflect and remember on those in your families and among your friends' families from all wars who have fallen. And I almost always do a little research before I give one of these speeches, just to more fully understand Memorial Day and what it is that calls us here. And I found a very interesting story, which it's very brief, but I'll read to you what it was said. A historian, he may or may not, he's a Yale University history professor, found this in an archive in the Harvard Library. It is the story of a commemoration organized by a group of black people freed from enslavement less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. And they created a march on a racetrack in Charleston, South Carolina. The racetrack in question was the Washington Racecourse and Jockey Club in Charleston, South Carolina. In the late stages of the war, the Confederate Army transformed the formerly posh country club into a makeshift prison for Union captives. More than 260 Union soldiers died from disease and exposure while being held in the racetrack's open-air infield. Their bodies were hastily buried in a mass grave behind the grandstands. When Charleston fell and Confederate troops evacuated the badly damaged city, those freed from enslavement remained. One of the first things those emancipated women and men did to give the fallen Union prisoners a proper burial, they exhumed the mass grave and reinterred the bodies in a new cemetery with a tall whitewashed fence inscribed with the words, "Martyrs of the Racecourse." And then on May 1st, 1865, something even more extraordinary happened. According to two reports that the historian found in the New York Tribune and Charleston Courier, a crowd of 10,000 people, mostly freed slaves, with some white missionaries, staged a parade around the racetrack. 3,000 black school children carried bouquets of flowers and sang John Brown's Body. Members of the famed 54th, Massachusetts, and other black Union regiments were in attendance and performed double-time marches. Black ministers recited verses from the Bible. That is perhaps maybe the very first recognition of a parade for our fallen soldiers. I just found it very, very interesting, particularly with Massachusetts' connection to it. And now I will read the proclamation. This is from Governor Maura Healey. Whereas, while the nation was still recovering from the horrors of the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those Union and Confederate soldiers who had given their lives, celebrating their first Decoration Day. And whereas, after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. Whereas, throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to the country is an inspiration to all Americans, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Maura Healey, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 29, 2023, to be Memorial Day, and urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of its event and participate fittingly in its observance. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to introduce our new Deputy Director, who will be making some remarks and has a special poem that she has written. Stacy Ginzeko is now our Deputy Director at the Veteran Services here across the street. She's an Air Force veteran. Stacy was born and raised in South Hadley, Massachusetts, where she was a three-sport athlete and a high school band member. Upon graduating high school, she attended UMass Amherst and earned her bachelor's degree in music performance. She then joined the Air Force in the enlisted ranks, not as an officer because she said she wanted to be part of the band. So she went in as an enlisted when she could have been an officer. She went to basic training at Lackland Air Force Base and then attended her tech school at Shepherd Air Force Base for aerospace medical technician. For the Army, Marine, and Navy, that means a medic or a corpsman. It's the Air Force has got to make it sound really special and exciting. Upon completion of her clinic, Stacy was stationed at Little Rock Air Force Base. Stacy was deployed to Pakistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Stacy returned back to Little Rock, Arkansas, where she finished her last of her 4-year tours. Her last year at Little Rock, she volunteered to be in the base honor guard, where she attended numerous services to honor our veterans who have passed over the years. Upon discharge from the Air Force, she once again decided to attend college at Holyoke Community College, and eventually earned a degree in communications, media, and theater. She then attended Springfield College and obtained her graduate degree of Master's of Science in Art Therapy and Mental Health Counseling. Upon graduating, she found herself at work at the Brattleboro Retreat. Luckily for us, she wanted something different, and now she works as a Deputy Director for us at the Upper Pioneer Valley Service District, and we're glad to have her as she does great work for our veterans. Stacy, the mic's all yours.
Yep, so when I was asked to speak today, I wrote a poem with my thoughts on what today means to us. It is such an honor to speak before you here today. An honor to be with all of you. An honor to see, to feel, to breathe, to love, to fight, to choose, to have the right to hang in and to hold on, to wonder and believe. It is such an honor to be free. Blank checks are signed as troops are lined through waters, through fields, through deserts and skies, with arms to carry the weight of all the things needed to bring, needed to defend, uphold, understand the reason for today. This isn't just a beautiful day, perfect for planting and rooting our values, our justice, our freedom. Somewhere, a young child feels the squeeze of her grandfather's hand, tears in his eyes. As a flag is lowered, the color guard stands by. Sounds of a bugler fills the air. Day is done. Gone the sun. Gone, yet not forgotten. Salutes and silence, fanfares and prayers, spoken proud and somber, not goodbye, but a chance to remember. If we were to imagine every fallen soldier as a single beat, building upon the cadence as we bravely march our feet, never having to question the sacrifice they gave, with guts and honor, with purpose and heart, so we can be free together today. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to have a wreath presentation followed by a firing salute by the Marine Corps League, followed by taps. Bill Phelps will be putting the wreath next to the Vietnam Memorial. Before we conclude today's ceremony, I'd like to talk about an award that we'd like to start receiving applications for so we can process for ceremony. It's the award's called the Medal of Fidelity. And there are applications over here on the table when you're leaving. If you know somebody that falls on this criteria, we'd love you to fill out an application. We'd love you to bring us the application, because we like to have a ceremony sometimes at the end of the summer for the dependents of these veterans that are not with us anymore. So the criteria for this award is, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 33, there shall be a Massachusetts Medal of Fidelity to be presented to the next of kin of service members of veterans from the Commonwealth who died as a result of either combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder or other disorders approved by the Adjutant General, conditions resulting from service-connected brain injury or combat-connected diseases, conditions or injuries related to the exposure of harmful toxins, herbicides, agents, or materials where the exposure occurred while serving the Armed Forces of the United States or on active or reserve components of the Massachusetts National Guard. A service member must have entered military service or state active duty from the Commonwealth, have been a resident of the Commonwealth at the time of the death, or have been a member of the Massachusetts National Guard at the time of the death. To be eligible, the service members or veteran must have served after December 6, 1941. Some examples of eligibility for the Medal of Fidelity are deaths caused by Agent Orange, blue water Agent Orange exposure, burn pit exposures, exposures to any chemicals, biological, radiological agents, or pollutants, oil fires, 9/11 ground zero recovery, radiation producing equipment, asbestos exposure, and combat-related mental illnesses. We know that there are a lot of our Vietnam veterans that are dying from these Agent Orange caused diseases, and we know there's a lot of dependents out there. We'd love to produce this medal for you, and thank you for your loved ones' commitment and service to our nation. In closing, I'd like to thank the Masons who've just recently put up all the flags on Main Street, the Elks for their continued support for building bridges and the dinners for our veterans, the Greenfield High School Student Council, who joined our office to put out flags at Calvary Cemetery, the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the band, of course, as always, and our fraternal organizations, the VFW, the DAV, and of course, the Marine Corps League, who have the colors for us today. So at this time, I'd like the Marine Corps League to retire the colors.
National moment of silence at 3 o'clock.
About face. All words, march.